And welcome everyone to another episode of the FTW podcast. FTW is a weekly WWE and TNA discussion where fans talk the wrestling world to all of its laughable glory. This is episode 213, recorded live on May 6, 2014 on FTWLive.com. Tonight we recap and react to WWE Extreme Rules. Just how extreme was it? And does Kevin and Nick both have high hopes for Adam Rose after his debut this week? Plus, if EY keeps defending the World Championship on Impact, what do we need pay-per-views for? And we begin the roads to WWE Payback and TNA Slammiversary. All that and the week that was in WWE and TNA. My name is Garvin, and with us tonight is Joe. Say hello, Joe.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. On the main stage, we have Scott.
Say hello, Scott.
Oh, I'm always on the main stage, baby. Always.
I have $1 for your G-string.
Only $1, you cheap bastard.
I gotta pace myself. A long night.
We probably should progress forward
I have
on
a
our
toonie.
broadcast.
I have a toonie.
And for those of you not aware, that is a $2 coin from Canada.
Oh,
Kevin, say hello, Kevin.
I'm going to end the stripper references and just say what's happening.
Thank you, Kevin.
Guy who ignores strippers. Okay.
Don't look him in the eyes. That's the trick that Kevin.
Well, let's be honest. Let's be honest. The game might be on. So.
Yeah,
That's
don't-
exactly
don't
right. For anyone who is not aware of this match,
You look him in the eye, you
Going
spook
to-
him, and you run.
a stripper was trying to touch pretty much everything on me, and I'm like, get the fuck off me. I'm watching the Reds game. They were the playoffs.
On my cell phone in international roaming.
And Nick, say hello, Nick.
Thank you, Kevin, for ending the strippers references because I'm pretty much broke.
I made all you bitches broke. Yeah.
For the full archive of episodes as well as full show notes for tonight's conversation, check out ftwpodcast.com. All right, let's talk some WWE. We're going to start there because we just saw Extreme Rules 2014. We were all pretty hyped for it, for the most part. So let's just run down match by match. I think that'll work out well. Start off with a kickoff match: El Torito versus Hornswoggle in a WLC match. This was the match. This was a match I predicted to be the match of the night, and I'm almost sticking to that. I think
you should, because it was. I mean, not only did we get El Torito versus Hornswoggle, we also had JB Elf. We had
Micro Cole.
Micro Cole, and what was the other one?
Jerry Smaller.
Yeah, You're the King Smaller. Yes, just great. Just great. It was a phenomenal match, especially for those two guys. And then to see 3MB work it. I mean, they put Heath Slater through a pile of tables. What can be better?
Yeah, definitely very entertaining. I think it was better than a lot of people would have given it credit for. Certainly the best commentary of the night or the year thus far. So definitely surpassed my expectations. And I almost think I'm going to have to go with Garvin on declaring it match of the night.
I don't know if I'd call it match of the night, but it definitely was better than I'm sure people expected it to be. It just had a chock full of humor. They stuck to the whole WLC theme pretty well with the miniature ladders and tables, and the spots were pretty hilarious. Like when Torito was actually trying to tell Hornswoggle, "Go ahead, jump, go ahead, do a splash on me. That's okay," and he moves. It's just little stuff like that. They did a lot of really awesome spots on it. I thought it was a great match.
Yeah, I agree. It's what we expected. We expected it to be fun. We expected it to be spots, and we got what we wanted. Sometimes that's the thing I loved about this. Is sometimes just pay it off. Just give us what we're looking for. That's what's supposed to happen, and they did. It was entertaining. I hope they do it again. somewhere down the line, maybe a couple of months down the line, Hornswoggle throws down the gauntlet. El Torito, we didn't do it right, and something stupid. I don't care why, but it was just supposed to be fun. It was supposed to be a fun warm-up match. It was very well done, and we got exactly what we were looking for.
Yeah, it definitely beat any expectation I had. I mean, I think, obviously we were all joking when we said this was going to be the match of the year. I'm sorry, not match of the year. That's what LuTube says in the live chat. But match of the night, because it's a pretty stacked card. There's a lot of different things going on, but it was just kind of absurd that they're doing this match. This is like beyond our wildest dreams. Lee is still speechless because of this match. And for me, I was just happy that they kind of continued to push it. Normally WWE pushes bad storylines, or they change things last minute. I was glad that they followed through and they continued to push it, and seemingly they're going to continue this through Payback, it seems. So hopefully that's the case. But yeah, overall, this match blew my mind. There was just so much going on, way above anything we expected, but totally thanks to 3MB's participation. I thought they did fantastic, such as Jinder Mahal going through tables, and just everyone. Everyone was just putting their bodies just through like the riskiest of scenarios just to put this match over. I thought it was fantastic. So yeah, I was really happy with it. And that kicked off the pay-per-view. Obviously, as we all know, El Torito won. But we started off the actual pay-per-view, or the WWE Network special event, since not everyone was able to order it through a pay-per-view. Jack Swagger versus Cesaro versus RVD in an elimination three-way match. Cesaro won. Nick, you went into this thinking this was going to be the match of the night. Did it meet your expectations?
It met my expectations for how good it was going to be. I have to retract the match of the night claim, just because obviously there were better matches that happened. But it was definitely a very solid match, especially once Swagger got eliminated. And that's not a commentary on Swagger, but I think Cesaro and RVD make for a pretty good program, and I'm glad they continued with that past this Sunday. So, not quite match of the night like I was hoping for, but definitely very solid.
Yeah, it was a solid match. I'll give you that. I was a little surprised when Swagger. I didn't realize it was an elimination match.
No.
So
yeah, neither did I.
Yeah, that threw me for a loop. Don't get me wrong. I like elimination matches. And now you can listen to our favorite HBO show.
I had this video come up. Sorry. I don't know why.
Because
what the fuck?
Kevin is very technologically advanced, as we all know. Love you, Kevin. Sorta.
Truth.
No.
That being said, I was a little surprised when Swagger got pinned by RVD, and one of the best moments of the night for me happened right here, because Garvin jumps up and goes, "Fuck you," or he goes, "Fuck no job, Rob."
I was so pissed off because we all missed
beers in.
We all missed the memo that this was an elimination match. That was a last minute announcement by WWE. But yeah, I was pissed. I thought for sure RVD won that match, and I was like, why? Why do you have him win? So yeah, but
yeah, outside of that.
Yeah, for a second it looked like it, but then you had the same thing on Monday night, too. It's pissing me off.
Yeah, Swagger getting eliminated, and then Cesaro versus RVD. I think Cesaro and RVD worked a good match, and, the best man came out on top.
Yeah, I think overall it was a good match. Nick, I disagree. I think it is an indictment on Swagger that the match just got better when he was gone. And so I'm sorry. I'm not defending Swagger anymore. I can't do it. He's a freaking anchor anytime you put him in there. Zeb Coulter has helped. I'm not going to argue with that. He needed the mouthpiece, but I'm tired of defending Swagger. He's not getting it done. Get him out of any major angle. I want to see other guys in there that deserve it. But yeah, overall it was still solid. But it got better when he wasn't a part of it. I'm not going to defend the guy. I can't do it.
I don't know. I thought Swagger added quite a bit to the match. Obviously, WWE kind of echoes your sentiments there because, with Raw, whatever happened there, that it kind of goes with that. But I thought that Swagger did actually add a lot to the chaos, and I felt like everyone kind of missed the memo when it was an elimination triple threat match, because even the announcers seemed like the match ended right when the first pinfall happened, and I'm like, no, the match is still on. And it wasn't until Justin Roberts actually made the announcement that he was eliminated that people realized, oh, this match is still going on. Oh, okay. So I thought that was kind of a fail on WWE's part. But the match was solid. As much as you guys are ragging on No Job Rob, man, his face landed on that trash can. That is painful. I don't care who you are. I felt so bad for the guy. That is just,
Yeah, he had the black eye on Raw to prove it. Yeah, it was a stiff landing for sure. Overall, I thought the match was good. I probably, looking back at it, I probably would have restrained my anger if I could go back and do it again. But yeah, it was a good match. I do like the combo of Cesaro and RVD. I think that's a good match. Where Swagger fits in there, I don't know anymore. I really want to like Swagger, and we talked about this last week. Joe, you were leading this charge. It would be good to see something positive happen with this guy, but I don't know. It's like I like Zeb Coulter. I like We the People. I like that gimmick. I don't know if I like Swagger though. I was fine with him being the first elimination from this match. So, next match, Rusev squash over R-Truth and Xavier Woods. Pretty much what we expected. But overall, let's talk about where they can go next with Rusev. What does Rusev's future look like for you, Kevin?
Nick touched on it. This was several weeks back now, but that he thought it was very bright. I tend to agree. The guy's got the build. He has no mic skills. That much is obvious because you put him with Lana or Lena or whatever, who I actually thought did a decent job using Vladimir Putin, which I thought was very smart.
Oh, yeah.
But come on, you need a shirtless picture of Putin if you're going to put him up there. Let's do this up right, okay? Get the shirtless picture, horseback, or with him holding his gun or whatever he's doing. Come on, let's do this up right. But no, I do think she did a much better job. I think they definitely touched the nerve doing that. I thought that was a good idea. Now, I think wrestling-wise, and the guy has the build. He looks like a monster. So I think he definitely has a shot. He needs to work on it. He's new. He's raw. There's going to be things he needs to work on. But I think he's got a chance. I think he's got a real chance to make something of himself.
Yeah, I completely agree. When you have at least Lana, and she's doing pretty good mic work considering the position, and the whole Putin thing was definitely just spot on, exactly what they need to do to build heat for Rusev, because, yeah, he's the Bulgarian brute and he can really kick some ass, but they need to put some kind of an oomph behind him, and I thought that was a really good call. As far as what they're going to do with him in the future, you'll probably see about months and months of squash matches, and hopefully, what better way to, I guess, spit in the face of America than to have the U.S. title and go after Sheamus? I think that would be a pretty good direction for him.
That might not actually be a bad direction, but it's almost like they're going to be taking Ryback and all his content. Like, once he got past all the jobbers, and he was actually beating, paid jobbers, like bigger name jobbers, and the tag team division for some freaking reason. It's like they took all that from Ryback, and now they're applying it to Rusev. Because he's beat R-Truth, he's beat Xavier Woods, now he's beating them both. Okay, where do you go? Well, he's going to beat on other low-rung guys. It's just... I want to see more. I wish they didn't already go, now living in Russia, Rusev! Because, well... to me that's like really low-hanging fruit. Maybe give WWE fans a reason to, I don't know, pick up a geography book or a history book and learn about Bulgaria as opposed to just going, U.S. good, Russia bad. That kind of bothered me.
I can understand that.
But that's because I'm a nerd.
Yeah, I did feel a little bit weird about about Lana and Rusev using the current events that's going on with Russia right now, but I think it's more because I didn't live through and watch what was going on with like the Iron Sheik and the Russian superstars back during when the Cold War was actually happening. So I just didn't have any frame of reference for that. But once I realized what was going on there, I have to agree it's definitely a good way to get heat, especially with how unpopular Putin is over here right now. As for Rusev's future, I've been championing this guy for months and months. This guy has pretty much everything. He's got the size, the monster look, but he's also got the speed and agility of maybe not quite as much as Kofi Kingston has, but he can match him almost for speed and agility. This guy's got it all. I hope people pick up on that. I hope the WWE doesn't treat him like another Ryback. And
That
even if they
dropkick
give
is
sort of
amazing.
the general direction, I think Rusev can make it work better just because he works better than Ryback ever did or ever could. So I'm very hopeful for Rusev. I just hope that they find him a suitable opponent for a decent feud pretty soon. Because
Nick,
the WWE only has so many black guys to go around.
just to jump in real quick, I think they learned from their mistake by already sticking him with a mic piece.
Yes.
Already sticking with a mouthpiece, because that's exactly what Ryback didn't have and what he needed.
Very true.
Yeah, and the live chat's talking about this, as far as what Rusev is without Lana. He's like a Samoa Joe minus the promo skills. He's vanilla, no mic skills. He does nothing in the ring to get heat, and I think that's pretty accurate. But with the addition of Lana, you can do a lot of things. But I think
Russian sex show.
Well, I think the move to put Putin on the big screen, I think that was cool. I'm very pro the idea of WWE hitting what's hot as far as political nerves and getting onto what is affecting the general culture. The whole Zeb Coulter versus Glenn Beck thing was another thing that I was totally for. I thought that was great. That I wish they could have just pushed it a little further. So yeah, I'm totally behind Rusev. I think it's awesome. One thing to note, Rusev, that's his name now. It's not Alexander Rusev. It is just Rusev.
Yeah.
So we have another guy who comes up with two names and goes back to just one name for some reason, and I think that might be that might be a little bad for him.
I don't know. Sheamus makes it work.
Does he?
But he never came to ECW.
No.
In ECW, he was Sheamus when they brought him up to TV.
Yeah, he was always Sheamus.
Yeah.
I mean, one names do work. Don't get me wrong, Nick. It's just that we're going from we've been introduced to this character as Alexander Rusev, and within 4 weeks we're now with a new name. I mean, it's the same last name, but it's just a truncated version. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn on it. Same thing with like Cesaro. Antonio Cesaro is now just Cesaro, and I think that does work for him. So who knows? Who knows what will happen? But it's like a weird trend that we're seeing. Big E Langston was the first, then Cesaro, then now Rusev.
Well, I think if you're gonna kind of squish his name, now is the time to do it. I mean, he's still developing heat. You know, he's still basically building himself as a character. If you're gonna get to a point where you no longer want to call him Alexander Rusev and just want to call him Rusev, now's the time to do it. So I think this is great. If they're gonna do it now.
Yeah. But real quick, just as far as his future, I think it's very bright if they continue the path that they're working with now. I mean, him in the ring is amazing. Joe, you said it before. His drop kick was awesome. It was totally unexpected, especially for a big man like that to hit a drop kick. It was great. The way he puts on the Cobra Clutch, I've never seen it that intense before. It just looks phenomenal. Just the way he does it. Iron Sheik always looked like he was straining to do it, and Rusev has like a straight face the entire time. I think that's awesome.
One thing I do miss about Rusev that I wish they bring back is when he was in NXT, when he first debuted, he would walk down to the ring with a board with with the name of whoever he was facing that night, and he'd walk in with that board and he'd snap it over his knee as part of his entrance. I thought that was pretty neat, and I wish they'd bring it back.
Who knows? Maybe they will. Real quick,
They'll do that.
Clutch.
They'll do that. They'll do that when he feuds with Hacksaw.
I thought the same thing.
especially when he's like, Hacksaw's always USA, USA. Dude, you're fighting a guy from Minneapolis. USA,
Thank you, Judas Coltrane in the live chat for correcting me. I meant Camel Clutch. Still. The point stands.
You fucked up.
All right. Let's go with Evolution Big E versus Wade Barrett. Scott, I'm guessing you are surprised you were the only person that expected Big E to retain. He did not. What went wrong?
I'm not necessarily surprised, especially after seeing just how dead the crowd was for Big E. I mean, they were just so hot for Wade Barrett. And obviously, WWE is striking the iron while it's hot. So I'm more than enough of a man to admit I was wrong. Clearly they have the fuel down to get this to work. It just kind of all depends on Wade Barrett. I mean, he's got to kind of take this ball and run with it. And at least now he's got a good gimmick to kind of help that out. The match was solid. I felt like they did the best they could with what they had, and it was definitely a very solid match. It's just that crowd could not have hated Big E more, and he's a face. I don't know. That sucks, man.
Yeah, I don't understand how the reactions happened the way they did. I'm not really sure why Barrett is over now, since the only thing different he's doing now is he's actually wrestling, so maybe people are actually okay with the gimmick now that he's actually back in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. It's really sad that Big E has dropped off with the crowd as much as he has, because I keep saying it. He's a really funny guy. He's smart. He's witty, and the WWE doesn't let him showcase that anywhere except online, mostly on social media. Occasionally in one of their videos, like with the J. Bill and Cole show, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, Big E gave me one of my favorite moments of the night. It was actually the next day when I watched parts of the post show, and Big E, when they had him come in for because they were doing interviews, like post match interviews with everybody, like they were coming to the press conference table, and they had the one guy there reading the questions, and like, Big E, what do you have to say to your opponent beating you for the Intercontinental Championship? And he's just like, what do I say? What do I say? Well, it was the greatest match of all time, and I really gave it my y'all, and blah, blah, blah. And then he's just like, any questions? Peace. It was probably one of the funnier things I've seen. So if you've got the WWE Network, make sure you look up the post show, because it was really, really damn funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. For those of us that don't have the network, though, where do we get to see Big E actually be himself on WWE programming? Like, the app? No. Like, the app barely works half the time, so why not showcase it on the flagship program?
Yeah, they should. I mean, they did small. They need to do more than tiny snippets. They need to give him something to work with. Maybe they will now. Maybe they're going to give him the mic.
Yeah, I really hope so.
Yeah, the dude's comedy gold. Make him the next Santino.
Oh God.
Not the next Ezekiel Jackson. Even though I like Big Zeke. Big Zeke was a good talent, I thought.
Yeah.
Only person to think it, but hey.
I actually liked Ezekiel Jackson. I thought he was kind of wasted talent. So I'm on there with him.
And I am actually checking the WWE YouTube channel, and those press conferences are not there, so it was a network exclusive. But hopefully someone will upload that. It was fantastic. All right, Joe. Joe, do you have any other thoughts on this match?
The match was good. I like Wade Barrett winning it. It's Wade Barrett's time, and maybe they can do something more interesting with him holding the Intercontinental title than they did with Big E, because they just let Big E languish with it. And just because you put a title on a guy doesn't mean he's going to get over. It's not, maybe there's other things at work here, like they wanted Big E to propose more stuff backstage, and he just kind of didn't. I don't know. I get the feeling something was going on that he should have been doing something when he had the title and he didn't. So, I mean, yeah, it's good that they get it off him, get on to Wade Barrett. Barrett's, as was previously said, way over. And, yeah, I dig it.
Kevin?
I think Scott hit the nail on the head when he said he has the gimmick.
Thanks, Rob.
Back on this time. What?
Hey, he's agreeing with me. Don't give him flack. Don't give him flack.
Yeah. Just you got your chance. Shut the fuck up. I'm the last guy. You can shut the fuck up.
That's because
I think Scott's exactly right when he said he has the gimmick to fall back on now. I think that's the difference between this Intercontinental title reign and this previous one. Even just Monday night when he comes out, as your new Intercontinental Champion, throws the belt up. I mean, we never got that from Biggie, even at all. We never got any promos from him. He had a couple of times where he sat there with JBL and Cole and called matches, but, that was really about it. I'm expecting good things from Barrett, so I'm interested to see how he does the next couple of months.
I don't know how we can blame any of this on Big E, as far as he didn't really give promos and he didn't really have a lot of matches or anything like that. Like that's not on him. That's the booking, but that's the booking of all of the mid-card titles for the last 5-6 years, it seems. The U.S. Championship was never defended 4 times in almost a year? That's absurd. The Intercontinental Championship, when was Big E on television? Like Nick said, his best moments aren't available for most viewers. They're either on Twitter and Facebook, or they're on Instagram, or they're on the WWE Network as an exclusive. They're not being pushed to where a majority of the audience is, and that sucks. But let's not also forget Wade Barrett held the title. How good was he then? What did he do better then than what Big E did? Nothing. It was very stagnant. He lost a lot.
I must be honest here. This is Wade Barrett's 3rd reign.
Yeah. So I'm with you guys on the hope that Wade Barrett can change the division. I mean, he's got a great gimmick now. He is already over with the crowd, so it's a perfect opportunity for them to strike while the iron's hot and keep pushing Wade Barrett and put a title on him and really drive some feuds. I think that would be great. But history says that's probably not going to happen, sadly. As far as this match goes, I thought this match was very good. I thought this was a very good match. And we're just looking over, that first 2/3 of the card, up until this point, and this this has been a really good pay-per-view overall. Let's move on to Evolution. Evolution versus the Shield. Obviously, the Shield won, and we're gonna start with you, Kevin, because Kevin, you said you predicted, along with you, Scott, you guys predicted that this would be the match of the night. Monday Morning Quarterback was this.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Okay.
Seth Rollins has said it's to trackers, particularly in the live chat. I've been, defending the guy. What did he jumped off? Whatever the hell that was. I don't know. He goes out of the crowd, jumps off the freaking balcony or whatever. Putting your body on the line, doing what you can. Triple powerbomb was cool. I just thought it was really well done. Kind of didn't deal with Batista, which is just fine with me. Get him out of there, even though he showed up on Raw, but whatever. No, I still thought it was. I thought it would be match of the night. I thought it delivered. They obviously want to keep this going with what happened on Monday. And why wouldn't you with how good the Shield is right now? They're just really compelling.
Yeah, definitely. And this match pretty much embodied what Extreme Rules was supposed to be. I mean, there was solid tag team action in the ring, and then on top of that, right towards the later half of the match, it just broke down into pure chaos. I mean, cameramen were flying. You had them fighting in the crowds, and it was just exactly what you wanted it to be, and it was great. Seth Rollins jumping off the balcony is obviously going to be the highlight of the night because, I mean, we haven't seen stuff like that in forever. And I think Paul Heyman kind of put it best early on when he said that this is the one night of the year where WWE gets it right, and Seth Rollins kind of helped prove that.
Yeah, definitely the match of the night for me as well. I was a little surprised to see the Shield go over at Extreme Rules. I would have thought that Evolution would have carried that one, and then the Shield would get their payback at Payback. But this works for me too, especially the way it did end, with especially with Rollins' spot jumping off the guardrails. That had to be like 15, 20 feet. It's just an amazing spot to watch, especially when you watch some of the fan cams too. Somebody got video recording of Rollins jumping off like right in front of him. Pretty amazing to watch. But I think the WWE has been pushing Reigns as the big name in the Shield thus far, but tonight is where Rollins and Ambrose really showed why they belong in that group. Those two are definitely championship caliber in their own rights. Rollins actually held gold within WWE, and he showed why that was definitely deserved. All around, very quality.
Yeah, I mean, it was a solid match. It was the chaos that we all expected. It's the chaos we all wanted. And you're right. I mean, I think everybody in the Shield had a standout moment. The only guy the guy who seemed to be the least impressive, I guess, best way to say it, would be Ambrose. He's a great mic guy, but I'm waiting. It's almost like they kind of decided they're going to push the other two more, which is kind of a bummer because I like Ambrose. I mean, I like all three guys, don't get me wrong. I think they're all extremely talented. I'm just looking for a little more character or something a little more from Ambrose.
But did you see how he fell down the stairs? I thought that was like poetic.
Yeah, you know who also I saw fall downstairs like that? Zach Gowen.
Jesus. I was going to agree with you.
Wow. I'm just saying that's one of the more popular falling downstairs things.
Joe, I think
and for everyone out there, that's Joe at askFTW podcast.
And dude grew up like 10 minutes away from me. Whatever. That being said, real quick, Zach Gowen joke aside, I've been trying to think of the other stair falling segments. I mean, Randy Orton fell downstairs. It was involving Randy Orton.
Orton kicked Mick Foley down the stairs.
That's right. That was terrible.
And that was brutal.
Joe, I think the problem with Dean Ambrose is he's face. He makes a creepier heel, and as long as the Shield is the face, he's going to be more of the Tasmanian devil in the back because that's kind of what they need him to be. Rollins and Reigns are a bit more versatile because, I mean, Reigns essentially is a muscle. And you can throw face or heel at a muscle and it's no problem. Rollins, he's got the spots to also help support being a face, but Dean Ambrose is just such a good creep. And I love his character, and it sucks to see him kind of restricted by being a face.
Yeah, I guess I would agree with that one.
I've never really looked at Ambrose as... I think he's got his character down well. I think what Ambrose adds right now is just his ring work and how fluid it is, how much sense it makes. Because the guy sells insanely well, like with the falling down the stairs, where he just ragdolled his way down there. And you notice how he takes a punch. Like, he actually looks punch drunk at the end of it. Like I said, he sells insanely well. Like, you can talk about Rollins being the salesman of the year with all the bumps he takes, but he relies on the spectacle of it all, whereas Ambrose, it's all psychology based with him.
I got a question for you, Nick. Do you think that Dean Ambrose sells as good as HBK? He could be just as exaggerated. I mean, and trust me, I love Dean Ambrose, don't get me wrong, but I think sometimes his selling could be a little exaggerated.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it goes that far. Most of the time, I think he sells it to the degree where it makes sense. But yeah, he could definitely go a little overboard with it, which is a better flaw to have than
It's better
no
to oversell
selling.
than to be stiff and not sell at all. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah, to me, I wouldn't necessarily compare him to like an HBK or even like a Dolph Ziggler of how he sells, but to me,
like a Flair.
No, I wouldn't say Flair because Flair. No, I wouldn't say Flair. Piper. To me, he reminds me so much of Roddy Piper.
Good point.
Very good point. Very good point.
So, all right, let's move on. Yeah, and match of the night. I think a lot of people are saying that as well. Live chat, Facebook, Twitter. That seems to be the match that everyone remembers. And for me, I can't remember a single thing that Evolution did. They were almost non-existent in that match. Like all the spots that the Shield did, and all the pros that we can think of the Shield, I can't think of a single thing that Evolution did that that made me smile.
They brought Batista, and
I loved the crowd for this match. They actually had a "You Can't Wrestle" chant for freaking Batista. It was great. The crowd was so hot for this.
I did like that Batista wore red trunks while everyone else wore black trunks. I thought that was kind of cute.
He stuck out like a sore thumb.
All right, let's move on. Cena versus Wyatt. We went into this with high hopes, I think overall, but we were mostly hopeful that they wouldn't book it the way they normally book a John Cena match, but they did. So, Joe, this is what you thought was going to be the match of the night overall. Now, what's your thoughts on this?
It had potential. This was the overbook of the night. It was. Don't get me wrong. It was an all right match. We knew Cena would have to also contend with the Wyatt family on the outside of the cage, trying to keep him from going over the top or getting out the door. So Cena was going to have to win in the ring. And they did a good job with that. I think the slow, methodical tactics used by Bray Wyatt were great. But after coming off the Evolution and Shield match, the crowd needed something a little bit more faster paced to continue on with the rest of the show, and it was too slow. We said it when we were watching it, that it's just like, damn, that really ruined the paper. Like, it dropped the pay-per-view. Everything was going great, and then, bam, like a ton of bricks just down. And with thinking about it more, it's just we were on such a high from that, from the six-man tag, that when we got to this, it was just a little too slow. And then you got the ending with the kid and the voice keeping Cena from going out the door. I think it would have worked better if the kid didn't say anything, and it was a bunch of kids all around the ring wearing the sheet masks again, and then they sang it again. Saying, he's got the whole world in his hands. Then okay, then I think it probably would have been a better ending. But why do they always have to have Super Cena getting past all the odds, and then then they have to do something like have the kid be the reason the match was won? Why couldn't Bray Wyatt do it clean?
Well, I mean, in Cena's defense, fuck that kid. Just nope.
You had the Eric Bischoff voice and everything.
I'd have stayed in that ring too. Yes, it was really a solid match, and I think a lot of people just took giant dumps all over it to an unfair degree, because if I think the placement hurt it more than anything, just having that directly follow the six-man tag. This would have been a great spot to have the triple threat match between the six-man tag and the cage match. I think it was
better.
Was that?
That would have been better. You're right.
Yeah, I enjoyed the match. I think it went longer than it really should have. Just all the various ways that Cena could be brought back down into the cage. And I think they really wasted an opportunity with the door spot. I really would have enjoyed it if the ref opened the door and they kind of, to me at least, they kind of hinted at the possibility when they made a point of saying the door is opened at the ref's discretion when the ref thinks that a wrestler can escape. They probably say this for every cage match, but for whatever reason, it really stuck with me for this match. And I think it would have been really awesome if Cena had gone to the cage door, the door was open, Cena was about to get out, and then the ref shuts it and steps back. And I don't know, just to maybe really sell the moment he puts on a sheet mask to illustrate to the crowd that he's bought into Wyatt's message. I think that was kind of a wasted opportunity to show just how widespread Wyatt's message is, not just among us, the WWE Universe, but just everywhere, even into the ranks of those who are supposed to be impartial to whatever side is in the ring.
That would have been slick.
Yeah, that would have.
But I mean, I think the kid ending was effective and just really selling the creep factor. Because nope.
Yeah, Nick, I'm with you. I think this match was better than people gave it credit for. Was it, some masterpiece? No, but I still thought it was a good match, and really, kind of coming off the heels of what it did, and more of a spot fest and the Extreme Rules match that everybody was looking forward to. What they wanted to do in the story they told wasn't as effective as it probably could have been. It was at another point in the night, but everybody's just like, oh, Garvin had talked to me about, Garvin talked about, how, it's typical Cena booking. Okay, maybe it was, but at the same time, I still thought it was good. And we're not the people that are playing to what Cena wants to do. The Super Cena angle is for the kids who see him as Superman. I mean, we have to keep that in mind at the end of the day. So I still thought it was good. I didn't think it was a bad match. I really didn't. I thought what they did was good. I do think it was just a bad placement for the match.
I'm not so convinced it was placement. I mean, yeah, it definitely affected it, but I don't think that the entire match and its reaction could be blamed on that. I think that ultimately it was designed to be a slow and methodical match because ultimately that kind of plays more towards Bray Wyatt's character, and I think in that sense it was exactly what it was supposed to be. But it really did felt like this match dragged, and there wasn't enough interaction, for me personally at least, between John Cena and the Wyatt family to really kind of justify all this. I felt like if you're really going to try and push Bray, making him kind of look weak in that match was not the way to do it. The ending, makes sense. I mean, ultimately, the C Nation, the kids, just like Kevin said, I mean, ultimately to the kids, he's Superman. So what happens when the kids no longer believe in Superman and they start, following Doomsday? All of a sudden, it's a totally different mindset. And I agree with that, and I think that's how it was effective. But I think just the match overall was just a little too slow for my taste, and I really think they could have pushed Bray to be a stronger character in this match, and they really just didn't.
Yeah, the only thing I can pinpoint as far as placement goes, I mean, if we want to go that direction, the only thing I can think of is that there really wasn't a bad match at this point. There wasn't a quote-unquote bathroom break match up until this point. And I think this was going into, this is maybe ending the second hour, or like halfway through the second hour. So we really hadn't had a time to kind of relax and sit down, especially with the two matches before this. So placement in that sense, I could see it. I also wouldn't necessarily, talk about it was booked too long. I think it was booked too long. I think it was only booked too long because of how they did it. But cage matches normally are longer. It's a little bit more brutal and slow paced because of the amount of damage that they're inflicting on one another while inside of the cage. So I was totally cool with the length. It was just a matter of, it didn't feel like it followed the story that they were telling before this. Up until this point, it was them trying to, basically redo the, embrace the hate angle that Kane and Cena were doing a year ago. It seemed like they were trying to do that, where they were trying to get Cena to realize that he doesn't have the backing that he was supposed to, and that he should fear Bray Wyatt, and he should fear, what's in his future. Instead, it did feel like a regular John Cena match, where he not only beat up Bray Wyatt, but he also beat up his two thugs on the outside. And even Luke Harper got in the ring and got beat up by John Cena. So, that's my problem with it. I was totally cool with the Kid. I thought the Kid added, it continued that creepy effect that we were seeing before. The only change, the only thing that I would tweak with it was we didn't need the creepy voice. We could have just been fine with the Kid voice. I thought that worked on Raw. It would have been fine here as well. So, but yeah, it did feel like they dropped the story and they let Cena have a regular match where he beats up everybody, and then yes, he lost, but it was, I don't know, it was just overbooked for me. It was an overbooked loss.
Anyone else notice that the kid's name was Little Johnny?
Yes.
Yes.
I was
Our
really
truth found him.
Little Jimmy.
Well, yeah, our truth is Little Jimmy.
Oh, Little Jimmy. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I was hoping.
Little Johnny, Little Jimmy. They could play together. It'd be great.
Yeah, not like we finally get to see Little Jimmy, and that's actually what Little Jimmy looked like.
I just love the poetry of John eventually being brought to his downfall by Little Johnny.
Yeah.
And that's an aspect I didn't even think of until you're mentioning it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, overall, the Kid was fine. I mean, there was quite a few people complaining to us on Twitter and Facebook about that, about the Kid, how it feels overdone, like they're doing that too much. But I was totally fine with that. I thought at the end they finally went back to the story that they had been telling before the match. So yeah, I was totally fine with that. But yeah, again, Cena doesn't need to look perfect every match. He can have flaws. Why don't they allow him to do that? I don't know. So all right, so the match that I know I forgot about. I had to rewatch about an hour ago before we started tonight, just to kind of remember what exactly happened. Paige versus Tamina. For me, it kind of fell to the wayside. We didn't really talk about it at the pay-per-view viewing party that we had. So let's talk about it now. Paige versus Tamina. We're going to start with Kevin. Your thoughts on this match? Do you think Paige continues to look strong?
Yeah, I thought she did a good job. You know, I pay damn near no attention to the divas, and I've made no bones about that. But I mean, for being the pale princess or whatever she wants to be, the diva Sheamus, I guess. You know, she's doing a good job. It's early, and you know, I want I want more from the divas division, but until I get it, I'm just not gonna be all that interested. So, you know, she's doing good work. That's where I'll leave it.
Yeah, I thought that this match was actually pretty underrated. It was fairly well done considering it was a Divas match. I mean, it definitely had the spots, especially the one scene where Tamina literally just whips her right into the freaking guardrail. It's just, they were doing some pretty heavy spots for female wrestling, and I think it was actually a really great match. And it sucked that the crowd just was so dead by that point, and rightfully so. I mean, they had so many matches to kind of burn their energy on, but the crowd was so dead by that point that they could just care less about this match, and it was a shame.
Yeah, I hate that this match doesn't get the attention and respect that it deserves from a lot of people. Because, like you said, Scott, there was a lot of great spots in this match. The countered Hurricane Rana into the whipping into the guardrail. Paige hit a power bomb, and that crowd didn't do a thing.
Yeah.
I know it was into the third hour, and I know the stereotypes about the Divas match, but it's a power bomb, people. Come on, you could at least get a little rise in the volume levels going on there. Yeah, and I mean, this is the Izod Center too. I mean, this is where the crowd was after last year's WrestleMania that every crowd since has tried to emulate. And people can make the comments about, oh, there was an overseas crowd, or oh, it was a smart crowd, but this is ECW country. This is ROH country. The fans in that area know wrestling, and they love wrestling. They pop for wrestling. And to just be completely dead, show no reaction whatsoever to a freaking powerbomb by a woman, no less. I mean, Paige hit it on a larger woman. That's impressive. So why that doesn't get any sort of attention is just beyond me. It just irks me, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a great match for the Divas. It's better than a lot of stuff we've seen recently. You know, these two can actually wrestle. The fact that the crowd didn't give it like two shits was a bummer. I mean, and to see Paige get her submission finisher locked in on Tamina, who was bigger than her, you know, and as they push Tamina to be that that the Kevin Nash of of the Divas division, or the Roman Reigns of the Diva division,
There you go.
I want Kevin Nash. Because he's tall. He's much taller than Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns isn't as tall as everyone thinks he is. If you look at his size, he's, I mean, granted, he's built as a good big dude, but he's not Kevin Nash, ow, my quad size. That being said, to see her pick up, the big woman in the Divas division and lift her up for that submission was awesome.
That tap did come really fast, though.
Did.
Yeah, it did.
It came really fast. I don't think that grip was 100%.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to like my live reaction, and I don't necessarily remember any of the match live except for the swing on the outside where Tamina swung Paige into the guardrails. I thought that was awesome. But yeah, overall, it did seem like the crowd was very dead. I think we in the little pay-per-view viewing that we had, we were all pretty, I don't know, sour on it. Except for my wife, Steph. She for some reason, this is the only match that she apparently wants to talk about. She thought it was a good match, and I thought that was kind of odd. So I rewatched it, and it really is a good match. It was booked differently than normal. Normal we see Oksana and Alicia Fox throw their weight around, and make Paige jump through hoops to beat them. This seemed like it was the opposite. It seemed like Paige was the strong one going after Tamina and making Tamina jump through hoops to beat her. So I thought that was odd that that they went the opposite way than what they had been doing, especially with someone like Tamina. Tamina should have dominated that entire match. As far as the finish goes, Scott, yeah, it did seem rather quickly. As far as the tap goes, it seemed like a very quick tap, but it almost felt like it was a struggle to get Tamina up there to begin with.
I agree with that.
The live chat is saying that the key word is this is women's wrestling, and WWE fans in general won't care until WWE gives them a major reason to. And you'd like to think that Paige can do that. I think overall Paige has done very well up to this point. But that's a big change, overall. I mean, even look back at when AJ Lee was holding the title. Who was AJ's competition for real? I mean, they seem to not even focus on the fact that AJ held the title unless they needed her to do, a big pipe bombshell, as they'd call it.
Now, that's where I've got to disagree with the live chat here, where the WWE fans don't care about women's wrestling. Look back at Paige's debut match. The crowd was hot for what Paige was doing because she doesn't wrestle like the typical diva. Every big move she made that wasn't typical divas fare, the crowd popped for.
Sure. And
I think that's been consistent up till Extreme Rules. For whatever reason, the New Jersey crowd just didn't give a damn.
Yeah, in this match, I will fall back on placement. Placement was horrible for this. This did not need to go here, especially after a lot of people were disappointed with how Bray and Cena ended. This could have been the match that a lot of people walked away from, and to take their break overall.
I can totally agree with that.
So, but we do care. We do care, Paige, Tamina. It was a good match. I'm looking forward to see what happens next. And hey, we like to laugh and joke about Oksana and Alicia Fox's abilities, but overall, Paige has brought the best out of them, and I can't wait to see what she can do with the rest of the divas. So, all right, let's move on to the main event. Main event was Daniel Bryan versus Kane. I don't necessarily think any of us had like really high expectations for this match. I don't know if it was just because of his opponent or we just weren't sure what was necessarily going to happen. But let's go with Joe first. Joe, your thoughts on this match? Did it deliver for you?
Yeah, it was much better than I expected it to be. I'm just going back over it in my head. I think it worked well. I liked, Kane with the mask. I think the match was entertaining. Although I felt like the flaming table was an afterthought when setting up the match. It didn't seem as integrated as it could have been. To me, I don't know. I mean, what you guys thought. I think it was a good match. It was a better match than I expected it to be. But it wasn't like the main event caliber. I think that still was the Evolution Shield match. There was nothing beating that match.
This match really didn't exceed my expectations. It lived up to what I was expecting, I think. And I wasn't expecting the extreme lengths, like how extreme they were willing to get. The table spot, the flaming table spot, did surprise me, and I can see where you're coming from with it not having been planned beforehand with the rest of the match, Joe. I can kind of see where that's coming from. With that said, I think they did work it in fairly well. Just the way Kane went into the table and he gets put out, and immediately he gets hit with a knee at the end of the match. I think that was a pretty good finish. So
definitely,
those
guys with the fire extinguishers are right on top of that. That's like okay, we're gonna do a flaming table, but fucking PG motherfuckers, so put this guy out even before he hits the table.
Yeah, they were pretty quick with that. And,
The camera angles weren't very friendly with that match because we saw the guy with the extinguisher before we saw the gas cans. We didn't even know what the gas cans were. We were trying to figure that out before, like, Kane finally picked one up and started pouring the gas.
Yeah, I to me it looked like the end of a weed whacker when I saw it really quickly. I'm like, or a leaf blower. I'm like, what's he gonna use a leaf blower on him?
I thought it was an EMT kit.
it just seems like
Really?
production overall. It just seems like production overall has kind of tanked lately. Not just with the camera guys, but anybody aside from the wrestlers. I mean, the referees, the new guys just suck right now. They're constantly getting in the way, almost getting knocked out. It's kind of hard to watch if you're really paying attention to that degree. And once somebody brought it to my attention, I haven't been able to not look at that.
Yeah, great. Now I'm gonna freaking see that every match now. Thanks, Nick.
Well, if I'm gonna suffer, so are you guys.
Damn it! No, I thought that the fire extinguisher thing was actually pretty humorous because ultimately it kind of led to the demise of Kane because Kane, like, literally is putting his hand out like, "Stop! I'm out! Stop!" And he rolls into the ring, gets the flying knee, and the match is over. And I really thought that the fire extinguisher guy actually played a role in that. If it was an Extreme Rules match, it would have been a DQ for outside interference. This match was definitely a good closer. It was definitely not match of the night by any means, but just the sheer brutality of at least the backstage segments. I mean, like, Kane just lobbed that one. What was it? The gas can or fire extinguisher? I can't remember what it was, but he lobbed it right through the window of the car. And that definitely gets your adrenaline pumping. And for what it was definitely a solid, effective spot to get the feeling that these two actually do not like each other at all. And Kane will end up killing Daniel Bryan to get the title if he has to. The forklift, gotta mention the forklift. That was wicked. I don't think I ever remember a scene where somebody is getting carried on a forklift like that. At least I don't personally remember, but it definitely showed that Daniel Bryan had to kind of improvise to get him back into the ring. Personally, I think it should have been a Falls Count Anywhere match, but
yeah, that would have been fine. I agree. The forklift spot did feel a little too long, but also way planned.
yeah.
Like, he knew every single button to push, and
he's really good at driving a forklift. Did you know that about Daniel Bryan?
It's funny. They did address that. I'm sorry, Nick, you'll never see this, but it was the post-match interview with Daniel Bryan. He talked about it. It's like, oh, doesn't everyone know how to drive a forklift? That's all we did in Washington.
Yeah, that was pretty damn funny.
I fully expect a bot spot comic of Daniel Bryan just driving through a maze backstage. It's, where the fuck is the ring?
See, and when I saw it, the first thing I thought was Pit Fighter.
Ooh.
You know, like in between the level, you know, the rounds of beating on guys, you had the forklift that would lift you up a little bit each time for like as many points as you got. If you got to the top, you like got the high score or something. I never got that far.
Interesting.
No, nobody.
No.
Sorry.
Got
I
you.
don't think I'm old enough for that one.
I know. No, the first thing I thought of when you were talking about that was like Street Fighter, where you're beating up the car, but that's the closest I can think of to what you're talking about. Sorry.
Oh, you guys are assholes.
You out-nerd me, man. I'm sorry.
How the fuck do I out-nerd you?
I didn't have a lot of money.
You're the one who's got the fucking podcast.
It doesn't cost money to run a podcast. I'm a broke bastard, man.
There you go. There's the fucking reference.
You bastard. Come on now.
There's the fucking reference. This is like one of the first games that had video capture. Anyway.
Okay. Well, back to this match. I think overall, I was okay with this match. I was at the height of my drinking, though, so I don't necessarily remember all of it. It did feel kind of long. I wasn't totally emotionally involved in it, but I thought overall the same way I felt about, and we hate making these comparisons, but I felt the same way of EY versus Abyss. Abyss was a horrible, horrible opponent for EY, in my opinion, because there's no way that they can match up. And I felt the same way with this. There was really no good way for a great back and forth between Kane and Daniel Bryan. Yeah, they have the story. I'm glad they're finally coming to this point where they're where we are seeing this feud culminate in this type of fashion. But we also are trying to push Daniel Bryan as a top level champion, and I don't think Kane is a top level contender right now. That was my only problem with it. All right, let's talk about picks. So we do something every week where or not every week, but every time there's a pay-per-view, we predict the pay-per-views, and rarely does Harrison come back and tell us what actually happened and if any of us won the picks. I'm not sure why I forgot to do that, but we actually didn't do that for Sacrifice either. So we're going to do that now. Picks for Extreme Rules. We're going to start from the bottom. Kevin, you got 5 correct picks. Congratulations. It's 5 out of 8. 5 out of 8.
Yeah, that's right. Quite the number.
Scott and myself got 6, which was pretty good. I'm pretty stoked because usually I get like 1, so I'm pretty happy. Nick, you got 7. 7 out of 8. That is pretty damn good.
Indeed.
But not as good as Joe. Joe did the unthinkable and predicted everything correctly. Perfect.
Cheater.
Perfect.
He is a
Cheater.
hacker.
Flawless victory.
Used to name by.
Yep. I'm using the railgun too, so go second.
All right, so with Extreme Rules and as well as TNA Sacrifice, that takes our pay-per-view totals. Scott, you still have 6. There's an asterisk next to that because you've only picked 1 event. Kevin, you have 8. What?
Oh, never mind. You're just
okay.
Never mind. I was going to say, this is the first WWE pay-per-view, but then I forgot about Sacrifice.
Correct.
My bad.
It's fine. Nick and myself are tied with 11. And Joe is at the top with 13 correct picks with 2 pay-per-views. So congratulations, Joe. I'm sure that means something.
It means that Harrison has a score of 0 because he's not included.
That's true.
And everybody wins in that case.
Yeah. And
Nor does Lee.
Everybody is winning more now.
Well, Lee has
actually,
1.
yeah, technically,
The kickoff.
Technically, Lee did get 1. I didn't list him here, but Lee did get 1 because he picked El Torito to win.
So the moral of the story is that Lee is just slightly better than Harrison.
Yes.
Just slightly.
I hope that hurts Harrison as much as I hope it does. All right.
He'll never hear this.
No. Okay, so we're going to keep track of that for the full year. It's basically WrestleMania to WrestleMania. So we start the pay-per-view after WrestleMania, and we go all the way through to the next WrestleMania. So we'll announce winners overall WrestleMania 31. So, all right. We got some TNA stuff coming up, so we're going to get to that in just a quick moment. But first, let's hit some priority items. We saw, after Extreme Rules, Raw. This week on Raw, Adam Rose debuted. Kevin and Nick, you both picked Rose over Bo Dallas as the one who will survive as far as the 2 new guys that are coming up from NXT. Do you guys still think that is the case? Nick, let's start with you.
I think so. I think Rose is overall a better worker than Bo Dallas, and I think he's got a gimmick that the crowd enjoys. I saw a lot of people talking about how nobody was popping for Rose, but you just look at the audience and you could tell they were into it, even beyond the theme song. Like one of our listeners, Mark, he actually writes for Fans Talk as well. He was there at Raw, and everybody was into pretty much everything Rose was doing. It just seems like the crowd wasn't mic'd well, which is another production flaw that the WWE seems to be having of late. But I think they did well with bringing Rose in, and I think they picked a good initial opponent in Swagger along with Zeb. I hope they stick with that, because that seems like a feud that could put Rose over pretty well.
Yeah, I still think Adam Rose in the long run is going to have it. Yeah, and I know the crowd sucked, so if it was that they just weren't mic'd well, then I'll maybe cut them some slack. But I'm sitting here like, these guys suck right now. What's their problem? I mean, the crowd's in Albany, New York. It's not like they're going to Albany, New York all the time like it's Chicago. I figured that place would be jacked to have Raw. And I just kind of thought they were lame. It's one night. You can't tell a whole lot off one experience of seeing a guy. So, talk to me in 3 months and we'll see if I change my opinion.
See, I think the one guy who was really impressed with Adam Rose was JTG, because he was the guy who was wearing the graduation outfit.
Oh, that's who that was. Okay.
Yeah, what do they call it? The
Rosebuds.
Yeah, the Rosebuds or whatever, the Exotic Express riders.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty lame. Actually, he comes out. Dances are that. I'm sorry, just kicking up your heels and walking around, grabbing Zeb's beard, going, "Don't be a lemon, be a rosebud." And I'm sorry, I sound like Lee. That being said, it didn't. Okay, you flip Jack Swagger out, so then Swagger just leaves. Like, I wanted a little more interaction between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Or a response, a little more of a retort after the Rosebud comment from Adam Rose. I want more, and to me it came off as poor. That being said, last night, even though we knew that Adam Rose was going to debut, there were a lot more Bo Lever signs out there than there were Adam Rose signs.
That's right. Believe. I don't know. I agree with Joe completely. Oh, I'm sorry, man.
I'll say in the Shield. Bo Leave in the Shield.
Maybe. Anyway.
Does that mean when he loses, Rose is deflowered? I like that.
Oh,
I like that.
wow.
Okay, Fade. Monsieur Conner.
I was going to say stuff, but I don't remember now. Anyway, damn you, Joe. I agree with Joe. Not the deflowering comment, but I would like to have seen more. And I think you get a taste of what the character is going to be, and it's cool. It's another Funkasaurus type thing where you get this nice little flashy entertainment gimmick. And, wrestling always needs somebody like that. You always need somebody to kind of, like, lighten the mood and let things seem a little more comical. And Adam Rose looks like he's going to be that character to kind of help that out. Personally, I kind of thought the whole segment was stupid. I mean, Jack Swagger just randomly disappearing, and it almost kind of looked like Zeb Coulter was dancing, which didn't make any sense. I don't know. The whole thing just seemed really awkward and strange. So, like Kevin said, give it 3 months. We'll see where he's going with that.
Yeah, I mean, we always wait and let it kind of start off right before we totally judge it. But I mean, for me, and let's first touch on the Jack Swagger bit. Yeah, it was odd to see Jack Swagger just leave. That was another opportunity that Jack Swagger could have taken to look somewhat halfway decent. But yeah, he just walked out. That was totally odd. But for me, my main problem with this, I'm totally familiar with Adam Rose. I mean, I've watched NXT since NXT Arrival, so I get the character. The problem is that I think WWE is too expectant that their fans on Raw are also watching NXT and will know who this guy is and what his deal is. For some reason they totally skip the whole journalistic who, what, why, where, and how. Like, why is this guy important? Why is he here? Who is he? What is he doing? Why is this important? They don't cover any of that for some reason, and they did the same thing with Emma. It's like they just brought him up, let them do their gimmick to see if they would get over cold, and I think that's a total disservice, especially for a character like this that I think does need that support when they come up. You need a reason, as if especially if you're new to the character, you need commentary to sell this for you. The commentary was either quiet or JBL was going on about how awful this was, but there was no context to it.
I don't know. When they showed the commentary team, Cole was going ape shit for it.
He was
At
dancing.
least the theme, yeah.
No, but that's not what we need. We need to sell it. We don't need them to just dance. I mean, that's what we got with Emma on her debut. We don't need that. We need, this isn't just a entertainment show where we're supposed to like these people. This is a wrestling show where we're supposed to believe these guys are wrestlers. And I have no idea who Adam Rose is, looking just at what they're doing on Raw.
I would like for the NXT general manager to actually hype up the NXT talent instead of being the one to constantly dump all over them. If anything, it should be Lawler doing the one that's doing the dumping because he's old and stodgy and has no idea what's going on. It should be JBL stepping up and defending these guys, like with Adam Rose, Xavier Woods, Emma. And instead, he's the one always tearing them apart. And it just doesn't make sense that the GM would be doing that.
No, he is a heel commentator. I mean, I agree with you completely, but I think it's just one of those things where he's trying to play the role as the heel commentator because I think, unlike the rest of WWE, JBL understands that not everybody who watches WWE Raw watches NXT.
But even if he's going to bash them, he can at least bring in, when they were in the ring at NXT, blah, 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 at least draw back to the experience at NXT so that fans can watch TV and go, well, though they were in NXT, I kind of like this guy, or I don't like this guy, but I want to see what he was doing or who's kicking his ass. Let's go back to NXT and check that out, too.
Yeah, this just underlines the fact that I don't think JBL was ever a good pick to replace Dusty as the NXT GM at all. If you had to remove Dusty, you should have put somebody in the role that makes sense.
Or at least a face. So that way they can actually blatantly push these guys and it wouldn't seem awkward.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you, Nick. I think that's an excellent point. It would be a perfect scenario for JBL to sell these guys, but for some reason he does the opposite for whatever reason. So, all right, let's jump into quick picks real quick before we head on to TNA. Quick picks. Basically, this is where you guys are going to choose a name or scenario or whatever the question is. Answer it one word or as little as possible. No explanation. We're going to go around Scott, Joe, Kevin, Nick. All right. First question. 2 new mid-card title holders in Wade Barrett and Sheamus over the weekend. Any chance we can move on from the cycle we've been in over the last 2-3 years and actually have some quality rings by either of these two guys? Joe.
You said you're going with Scott first.
Way to follow your order.
Yeah, no kidding. That being said, I don't think we're really going to because we're putting the belt on guys who have held these titles in the last 2 to 3 years. Sheamus had a run. Barrett had a run.
Scott.
Well, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. I actually see Barrett having a pretty quality reign. I think he's got a gimmick now that he can really hide behind. So, sorry, I know it's quick picks, but there's my explanation. Suck it.
Kevin.
I think Barrett will be good. I think Sheamus will be good. That was then, this is now. It's a new day. I think it will. I think this will be quality reigns.
Nick?
The chance exists, but I'm not hopeful. No explanations.
I'm with Nick. I don't see anything changing. All right, next question. Mick Foley went to Facebook to bash WWE's current booking of Daniel Bryan and Kane, even noting that it was near identical to the storyline they wrote for Zack Ryder during his feud with Kane. You know, the story that derailed Zack Ryder's career. Do you think what WWE is doing right now with Daniel Bryan is as bad as Mick Foley does, Scott?
No, I mean I understand the gimmick behind it, but I don't think it's as bad.
Joe.
I don't think it's as bad. I think they're more or less going to target more the Undertaker when Stephanie McMahon bit. You know, next thing you know, we're going to see somebody crucified on a big symbol. I don't know what Kane's is going to be. Maybe a corporate tie. I don't know.
Kevin.
It's not as bad, but this angle sucks, particularly after Monday night.
Nick.
It's not as bad as Foley is saying.
Thanks, Nick, for following the rules. All right, so let's go Payback 2014. That's our next pay-per-view on June 1st. Some probables that we can kind of throw out there. El Torito versus Hornswoggle, the rematch. Jack Swagger versus Adam Rose. That looks to be where they're going. John Cena versus Bray Wyatt. As we noted before, there's an issue with the internet thinking that Batista is gone. Well, Batista was just on Raw, so maybe he's going to be at Payback. We don't know. So there could be a John Cena versus Bray Wyatt rematch, or we could see a combo of the Shield in there, or another Shield versus Evolution. Then obviously we're probably going to see a title defense from Sheamus, Barrett, and Paige. Maybe the tag team championships will be on the line. And then Daniel Bryan versus Kane. That seems to be the obvious choice for the World Heavyweight Championship. So nothing's official though, so we'll know. All right, let's move on to some TNA. Finally, the Wolves have the tag team championships. This is something that they kind of teased when they first came in, but it went away. So who do you want to see be their first challengers at Slammiversary next month, Nick?
I don't think it'll be the first challengers, but I'm expecting it to be the Bromans again, which I have absolutely no problem with. Those two teams do extremely well together. But I'm hopeful that Beer Money will have officially reunited by that point. So I'd love to see a Wolves versus Beer Money title match at Slammiversary.
I'm thinking we're going to see EC3 and Spud.
I like the idea, Joe. I'm not against the idea. The only problem is, to me, it's obvious they're going to go with EC3 versus Angle. That seems to be where they're going.
Hey, you could do double duty.
Could do double duty.
Do you think there's any chance that the Menagerie will have a presence in the tag title picture?
One would hope.
I'd like to think so. Yeah. I mean, again, the tag division is kind of dormant. If you got the Bromans, you got the Wolves. Who else is there really? No one. So I don't know. I would definitely like to see that, but we'll see. But yeah, as far as Slammiversary goes, it's got to be definitely Angle versus EC3. That seems to be the major storyline. I don't know where Willow sits with that. Maybe Willow versus Spud? I can't see that. That'd be a squash match. I don't know. Speaking of title matches, though, this is something we teased in the intro. EY once again defends the World Heavyweight Championship on Impact. This week it was Anderson, Rude, and Gunner. They all earned a spot in a one-night tournament because of their wins at Sacrifice. So we saw. Well, first of all, there was a card draw. So MVP lays a bunch of cards, like 52 pickup style, on the table, and they all had to draw cards. And Gunner and Anderson picked lower cards than Rude. So Rude got the bye. Anderson and Gunner fought. End of story. Long story short, it ends up being Rude versus EY. EY wins. Overall, do you think there's any chance that Rude, Gunner, or Anderson will get another shot at Slammiversary, Nick?
The only one of those three that I see in that situation would be Rude. I think Anderson is going to be tied up with Storm, just from what happened on Impact with Storm costing Anderson his match with Gunner with the accidental insecurity to the back of the head. One that was meant for Gunner, but hit Anderson by accident. And Anderson got his payback against Storm later in the night. So I see those two feuding by Slammiversary. As for Gunner, I'm not really sure I see him facing off against EY. So the only logical opponent I see out of those three men will be Rude. But even then, the way the match ended on Impact with Rude and EY shaking hands and EY helping Rude up, there doesn't really seem to be fertile ground for a feud there. So I'm kind of expecting Rude to still be Dixie's guy in her feud with Bully. So I don't think any of those three guys will be in the title picture at Slammiversary, but of any of them, it would be Rude.
Sure. Well, I mean, let's get into Slammiversary. I mean, who else is there right now that you think could go up against EY?
So that's a good question. Because it seems like all the likely names are already tied up with other guys.
Well, how long is Shaw in the insane asylum?
Oh yeah.
Indefinite.
Yeah.
But even if he was coming back soon, I don't see him anywhere near the title picture.
No.
I mean, what's he out of Magnus? I mean, yeah, I know he was there previously in that spot, but he could work his way back in the time period. They could find a reason.
I'm not too sure I see Abyss letting him back in there. Especially with Bram now. I feel like we might be seeing another possible tag team there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at possibilities and the card that I was drawing up. I see Abyss versus Magnus at Slammiversary. Again, that seems to be where they're going. Obviously, those two are at odds, and Slammiversary seems like the perfect place just because it is within 4 weeks. So, and really looking at the other people, I mean, I could definitely see a Storm versus Anderson match. So that would tie up those two, which would leave Bobby Roode open for another rematch. But then there's also the other possibility that is something they've been teasing for a while is the regrouping of or the reuniting of Beer Money. So Beer Money versus Gunner and Anderson. And really, if those 6 guys, so Beer Money, Gunner, Anderson, Abyss, and Magnus are tied up, the only other name that comes to mind, and this is within the context of we have no idea what's going on with Samoa Joe. I think Samoa Joe fits perfectly here, but no one knows what's going on with him. So since he's gone, the only other name that comes to mind is Austin Aries.
Yeah, Aries would be a good name. Joe's still got a month to come back, so I could also see him challenging for the title at Slammiversary. And I really don't know how likely this would be, but I've been hearing reports that Low-Ki is coming back both as a wrestler and an agent. Would he come in anywhere near the title picture, or do you think he'd just be X Division centric?
Joe, what do you think about this? Because I don't know. I mean, I'm almost leaning towards him remaining in the X Division, at least initially.
Low-Ki? I mean, I don't know. I guess I haven't seen enough of him to determine. I would say agent just because we haven't seen much from him in recent times, but I don't know. To be honest, I really don't know.
All right, what about Willow? Guy, we have to throw it out there. It's a possibility.
Against EY?
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
I think he's got his eye too much on Spud and EC3. If he changes it up for any reason, it would probably be to go after Magnus. I don't see him going after EY.
Okay. Well, who knows? I mean, we've got another month to go before we'll find out. A little bit over a month actually. Before we find out, going by TNA's track record, we'll probably find out the week before who is in the main event. So we've got some time. Overall, I'm looking at the rest of the card that I'm kind of putting together. Sonata versus DJ Zima Ion. It's possibly a choice. It seems like that's the only real connection there. I'd love to see Kenny King, but for some reason we didn't really see him this week. So,
well, Kenny King is supposed to be the number one contender for that title right now.
But would they wait until Slammiversary to do that match? It seems like that would be a match that would happen sooner.
Yeah, true.
And then obviously Angelina Love will defend her title. Wolves versus Broman is another match we might see. But let's talk about the overall state of TNA right now. So far in 2014, we saw a lot of bigger names leave. So a lot of departures: Kaz and Daniels, Sting, Jay Bradley, and Wes Briscoe, AJ Styles, Jeff Jarrett, and Lady Tapa.
I'm glad you counted Wes Briscoe as a big name.
He's a Briscoe. That's kind of big. All right, so but we do know that Low-Key and Sanjay Dutt and Petey Williams are in some kind of relationship with TNA, as we saw this week on Spin Cycle, which is a YouTube-only show, for whatever reason. So so those guys are involved. But let's look at who has debuted since 2014. A lot of people want to look at TNA as losing talent and being overall disappointing and not surviving, that sort of thing. But let's look at who has been brought in. We've got the Wolves, Sonata, Tigre Uno, Brittany, Bram, who we saw this week, who is Kenneth Cameron from NXT. We've also got some other new names like Crazy Steve, The Freak, and Rebel, along with the return of Nux. Despite all of the departures, do you feel TNA right now is making the right moves to succeed, or are they just making the right moves to survive? Joe?
I kind of see a little column A, a little column B. The addition of the Wolves, Sonata, Tigre Uno, those I think were good moves to try something new. The Wolves, they need more tag teams. So I'm glad the Wolves came in. Sonata and Tigre Uno, I think, was a gamble. But I think it's working out all right so far. I'm really looking forward to the Menagerie and the return of Nux. And, of course, Crazy Steve and the Freak, who, the return of the Freak, because, well, it was Rob Terry. And I'm excited for that. But yeah, they did. Losing Sting, okay, that wasn't a big deal. But Kaz and Daniels, that's a big hurt. I'd love to see Sanjay Dutt come back. I'd love to see Petey Williams come back. Maybe not in that Spin Cycle / one night only type deal, but what are you going to do? So I think they're kind of floating right now, but they're trying stuff, and I think that's what TNA needs to try and do to keep it interesting, is just try new things.
Yeah, TNA is definitely in a rebuilding stage, and I think they're making the right moves for future success. They're restocking the divisions that built them up to the height of their success thus far. The Wolves in the tag division, Sonata and Tigre Uno in the X division, and the return of Low-Key, most likely in the X division. Brittany in the Knockouts division, Angelina Love coming back. Those are two solid additions, and from all reports, there are supposed to be more talents coming. And we've got some other returns in Nux, Rob Terry, And personally, I'm looking forward to seeing what Bram is going to offer because I really enjoyed his work in The Ascension while he was in NXT. I just hate the way he had to leave that company. So these are all almost entirely good. They're good moves for the company as a whole. It's hard to say whether these guys will be the key to bigger success for TNA. I have to adopt a more wait and see approach in that regard. But overall, I think these are definitely good moves for TNA to make.
Yeah, I'm with you, Nick. I mean, part of me is very pessimistic about this. I mean, because there were some big names that did depart. Kaz and Daniels, I thought were huge. I think that's a huge loss. Jeff Jarrett is another one. It seemed like that really ripped the foundation out of TNA, along with AJ Styles. I think that was a huge, huge shocker to see those both leave. Plus Sting leaving too seemed like a huge shocker because that's like your foundation. You get rid of those 5 guys, that's a huge chunk of your overall morale that are leaving. I feel, this is me being the outsider fan, but that felt bad. But as it's being said about in the live chat, Richard, he says TNA is getting younger. They aren't just your AARP fed friendly fed anymore, which was like the complaint before. You had all of these old guys in there. AJ Styles is up there. So is Kaz and Daniels. They are older guys. So they are moving away from that. They're bringing in guys like Bram, like Brittany, like the Wolves, who really hadn't been given that major opportunity to get over. Plus Sonata, who is big in Japan. I think overall this can only be seen as a good thing. They are getting younger. They are giving guys opportunities to get over. And while that does feel very, small market in the grand scheme of things, I think it's still a good move. I see no negatives in this. I'd like to see Kaz and Daniels still there, but despite that, this is unrelated to me. This is a move forward. So I'm very stoked with this.
Cool.
All right. Anything else happened in TNA that wet your whistle that you want to talk about, Nick? Before we move on.
No, I think that basically covers it.
All right. So on Facebook, we heard some complaints about the podcast in general, and it seemed like we were given a few choices of how to make the FTW podcast better. We could either bring back Harrison and Lee, or bring back askFTW. So we brought back askFTW, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Besides, I think I'm a better replacement anyway.
Oh,
No comment. No.
All right, let's start off with the first question and try to be as brief as possible. We do want to fit as many of these askFTW questions in, but we are running out of time. So we'll start off. Kyle Petrano posted on Facebook, JTG came out with Adam Rose, meaning JTG was on Raw. Win of the year? Joe, we'll start with you.
Nope. Because he wasn't in a match. There you go.
Scott.
Now is he like our truth? He's on TV now. Not being used really well. Just saying.
But our truth gets a match.
A squash match, I suppose. Anyway,
still more than lackey.
To be fair, JTG wasn't playing JTG, so does it really count?
Are you saying JTG isn't a college graduate?
He wasn't crime time. Unless he was stealing his diploma. I'm pretty sure he did not earn one.
Nick?
I can't say this is a win of the year, if only because he totally stole Simon Gotch's spot and made the Exotic Express just a little less manly. Lou knows what I'm talking about.
I do not care about JTG. Move on.
Yeah, I'm almost with you, Kevin. Overall, that can't be win of the year. Win of the year has to go to the fact that Hornswoggle and El Torito had the most extreme match at Extreme Rules. It was a pay-per-view match. They had one. That's awesome.
That's Lee's win of the year, too.
All right, next question is from Robert Carmichael on Facebook. He asked, he said, Spring 2014 saw WWE WrestleMania and Extreme Rules, as well as TNA with Lockdown and Sacrifice. Was this a great pay-per-view season? Joe.
I can only speak on the WWE side because I didn't see the TNA pay-per-views. Extreme Rules, I think, was stronger than WrestleMania, but WrestleMania was better than WrestleMania's the last 5 years. So I'm going to say, yeah, it's been strong. Stronger than normal.
Completely agreed. I mean, it's been solid, entertaining pay-per-views these past 2 months. So, yeah, I mean, I can't speak on the TNA side, obviously, but definitely WWE side, they've been putting out some quality pay-per-views.
It's definitely been a very enjoyable pay-per-view season, if only because Team Beard has locked things down as it should be. Order has been restored to the universe.
Yeah, there's really no way you can argue otherwise. It's been very entertaining. It's been a very good slate of pay-per-views lately, so it's been nice to see.
Yeah, this was the best WrestleMania that I can remember in a long time. Extreme Rules had some great moments. Like the first almost 2 hours, I thought were perfect. So on the TNA side, I'm not as high on Sacrifice. I thought it was kind of weak, but overall TNA's been doing well as well. So I'm good. I think spring has been very positive overall for the wrestling industry. Kevin Crittenden asked on Facebook, rumor has it that even more NXT talents will be called up to the main roster soon. Do you think it's a bad idea throwing even more people into an already crowded roster? And just to clear that up, we've got Adam Rose debuting this week, most likely Bo Dallas next week or within the next couple of weeks. We had just Emma just brought up recently, as well as Paige. So, Joe, we'll start with you. Do you think this is a bad move?
I don't think it's a bad move, but we know the axe is coming soon for, the WWE cleaning house bit is coming up. They do it every year, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a number of guys get cut. But I'm glad to see fresh blood. We need fresh blood.
Yeah, again, right on the money. I mean, it can't hurt to have new bodies on the roster to kind of keep things fresh. And it also is good cross-promotion, too. I mean, if they keep pushing the fact that these guys are from NXT, it's going to create a fan base for NXT. At least that's the hope, anyway.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how good of a move bringing up even more of them would be at this point. Not because of the crowded roster space, but because of the way the WWE uses that roster, which historically has never been that great. They keep using the same top guys and not giving the attention to even the established presences on the Raw roster. So how much more of a chance is the NXT guys going to have? With that said, I definitely wouldn't mind seeing more of Adam Rose, even Bo Dallas if they used him right. And the Ascension is supposed to be on the short list as well, and the tag team division desperately needs a team like the Ascension. So, we'll see.
Yeah, the only way this works for me is exactly what Joe said. You have to chop some of the talent, which should be coming post WrestleMania. I'm not sure that I still like it anyway, because exactly that you have Rusev, you have Adam Rose, and you have Bo Dallas. That's 3 new guys, and you're talking about adding in more. So I'm not so sure how well this is going to work when you've just added 3 guys and you're talking about more. I am a little bit skeptical.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on this. The thing is that if we get rid of I'm sorry. If we bring these guys up, yeah, there is that concern that it's already crowded. We're already not getting people, having the opportunity that was that we expected, like Dolph, even Zack Ryder a little bit. We expected him to get another shot, and they haven't yet. So you bring all these NXT guys, and where does a guy like Dolph fit? Where does a guy like Zack Ryder fit? Where does Kofi Kingston fit? That's the problem that I have. Is you bring up these guys, and then what happens next? What happens to? Is the axe coming to the WWE side? I don't know, but. And this is a good segue into the next question. We already did see a cut in NXT, so maybe what we're going to see is a cut in NXT. You bring in some of these guys up, and then the next crop of NXT superstars are going to be made. I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see a lot of the good talent from NXT move up. That way we can move on, and NXT can start developing more talent. I think that's the direction they're going. But and that would be cool. I'm totally down for that. So, but let's talk about some of these cuts. Well, at least one specifically. Michael Kupak on the Facebook group wanted to point out Mason Ryan was released. So let's talk about Mason Ryan real quick again. Be brief. Are you surprised that he is gone, Joe?
No, I'm not. Why? Because Batista came back. You can't have two Batistas.
Batista joke aside, I mean, Mason Ryan could have been a solid talent. I don't know what the story is behind him, but it's not terribly surprising, but it still is a shame.
Yeah, it is a real shame, especially given the quality of work he was putting out. It was standard big guy fare, but he was over with the NXT crowd, and he was putting on good work. So it is a little surprising considering what he's been doing lately.
Yeah, it's a little bit surprising just with the build, and Vince loves big dudes as well. We can never discount that. But I don't know. At the end of the day, did you really see Mason Ryan going anywhere? I'm not so sure I did.
Yeah, I don't know. Mason Ryan has always been that guy that you kind of hoped he would do something well. Never really did. I don't think it's anything to do with him being Welsh. I don't think it's anything to do with the nickname of Welsh Batista, even though they were very similar. I just don't think he just wasn't good. What we did see in his last match in NXT though was a shine. It did seem like there was a bit of a change. He lost quite a bit of weight. He was very trim, and I thought for sure that was going to be the sign that he was come up. So I was actually really surprised that they got rid of him. But there is no room. There's no room for him, especially when there's guys like Rusev. Etc. So,
I do kind of have to question the fact of his release being that he's Welsh, because that was almost entirely European talent they cut between Mason Ryan and Danny Burch, who's English, Oliver Gray, who's also English, and they released one diva. I have no idea if she was European or not, but
conspiracy.
That was almost an entirely European release.
Yep. We have mostly Europeans holding mid-card titles. I mean, you got Wade Barrett, Sheamus, and Paige.
And you can only push so many Europeans at one time. Come on.
Yeah. America.
We can't make them look better than us. We're America.
All right, next question. Benjamin Megenberg on Facebook asks, Jarrett wants a top 5 fantasy draft of indie wrestlers that you would like to see in Global Force Wrestling. This was something that he posted on globalforcewrestling.com. Kind of interesting concept. He's really trying to get in to hear what fans think and who fans want to see. So let's throw some names together. Who do you guys want to see? Joe.
Well, if I'm going to look at some local guys who have been doing work for quite a while, who to pick? Justin Main. I've been enjoying his work.
Yeah.
He's been all over the place and getting his ass kicked by Ryback early on. I like Tommy Tresnick, if anybody's seen him online. If I'm going to tap into ROH, even though that was, I think, excluded from the original question, I would love to see the Briscoes. Chris Hero. Paul London. I would like to see Paul London back in the ring.
Nick?
You could pretty much raid the roster of PWG. Johnny Gargano is really good. Ricochet would probably do really well on national TV here. Big time high flyer. He's pretty much locked down the Dragon Gate promotions top title scene, both in the States and in Japan. Going into ROH for a little bit, Cedric Alexander has been putting on really strong work, both in ROH and outside of that promotion. Ethan Page as well has been doing really well. And let's just throw in Colt Cabana because funny equals money.
I'm looking at some of the names the live chat's throwing out. Jigsaw, Ricochet, Chuck Taylor. Yeah, I think overall Justin Maine is a good name. I like him a lot. There actually are quite a few great wrestlers at Clash Wrestling, ClashWrestling.com. That's really the only indie fed that I follow. So I can't really speak too much on that. But what I would actually really like to see, is for GFW to kind of cherry pick some of the ROH guys. ROH guys like Kevin Steen, anyone of the top of ROH. I think to see them cherry pick from that and not allow a WWE to pick them up right away, or a TNA for that matter, or any of the low-hanging fruit from TNA that we wish we were on TV. So you throw in like a Petey Williams or a Sanjay Dutt or even a low key. Have Jarrett steal low key from TNA. I think would be pretty cool. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of opportunities out there. There's a lot of great talent. But that's what I would want to see. It's not necessarily a fantasy drafting any of the guys from the Indies that we could possibly think of, but it would be nice to have a third guy who is attractive to the Indies. I think that'd be cool. So, all right, we've got time for one more question. This one is from Darren Kerrigan on Facebook, and he asked, "Why is it so hard to find replays of WWE pay-per-views online?" Joe, do you have a hard time?
Not at all, because I subscribe to the network.wwe.com. If you're looking, for a WWE pay-per-view, the next day it's up there. He's specifically named WWE pay-per-views, and there you go. If you're looking for quote-unquote free sites to get them from, I'm sorry, I will not give that to you. Seriously, if Lee can do it, and we'll pay $9.99 a month, you can do it too. It's so easy, even Kevin can sign up for it.
And that's saying something.
There you go. Here's a site that you can use if you are truly looking for a free alternative. It's called Google.com.
Thank you. Damn, you stole mine. You stole my thunder.
I'm sorry. It was the obvious answer.
Yeah, if you're
Seriously,
looking,
WWE Network, man, it's $10 a month, and honestly, it's a great deal. Just freaking do it. Don't be a cheap ass. Just do it.
yeah, if you can't raise $10 a month, you could go around picking up pop bottles. Wait, I take that back. If you're in Michigan, you can go around picking up pop bottles, and each one's worth 10 cents.
Yeah, I don't know if they have those in Scotland.
Yeah. I don't think so either. Yeah,
But they do have sheep.
Those are a little harder to pick up.
You underestimate the power of a Scotsman when it comes to sheep.
Yeah, that's why they wear kilts. You don't hear a zipper.
I know what goes.
Is there a joke in this somewhere? I think we should move on.
Yeah, overall, the WWE Network is worth it, guys. Definitely pick it up if you need a referral. I know a guy who has it who would gladly refer you so that we can both get gift cards. So let's talk. But yeah, I mean, if you are looking for the alternative source, which a lot of people are, search Google. Google is everything. They know everything. They know how to get what you need. Search, and you'll find it.
Yeah,
Not
stop
okay,
asking because really we're not going to get an account or anything taken away because we're posting about illegal streaming sites.
Yeah, and also, shoot, I lost my train of thought. Oh, if you're using Chrome or Firefox, when you're doing those searches, definitely get AdBlock Plus. It'll save you from a virus. All right, so all right, I think that's enough for win fail. We've got plenty more. We just don't have enough time. So for now, we'll save those for next week, or maybe we'll do something else with them. Who knows? We'll see. For now, it's time for win fail. Joe, your win of the week.
Wow. My win of the week is probably going to go to... It's going to go to Big E for that post-show bit. That was freaking hilarious and well worth a watch. So, if you spend that $9.99 per month for a 6-month commitment, and you get on the WWE Network, you can go back and you can see what I'm talking about, and you really should.
Kevin, your win of the week.
My win of the week was Seth Rollins off the balcony. Absolutely awesome. Great job by the Shield in general and Evolution, but that was just really made the pay-per-view. We don't get to see that as much, so it kind of made it a little special. You know, the fact that happened, and that was really cool. So people can stop dogging on Seth Rollins. You know, he's working on his mic skill. Look what he's doing in the ring. Give the guy some credit.
Nick, what's your win of the week?
My win comes from TNA. It's the Broman's rationalization for dropping the titles to the Wolves. And it was a numbers game, man. It messed with them. It doesn't matter if the numbers game was in their favor. It got in their heads, and that's why they lost.
Yes, that was very funny. Scott, your win of the week.
WLC, baby, all the way. Just pure awesomeness.
All right, from the live chat, we've got everything Dean Ambrose did, other than lose the title, of course, was Juliet's win of the week. We also have got AJ Styles winning the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, TNA, WWE Extreme Rules. I guess it was pretty high in some charts. WLC was also echoed in the live chat. I'm gonna have to go with WLC 2. I think that put me in the perfect mood for the pay-per-view.
Wait, WLC 2? I know we only saw the first one. When was the second?
I'm sorry, WLC, comma, also.
That is right.
Exclamation point.
Now I'm depressed.
No, that's coming at Payback.
Awesome.
Seriously.
Dude, that's in Chicago, too.
Woo! All right, so yeah, we'll see. It gets my win of the week. I think it put me in the perfect mood for the pay-per-view. Pay-per-view was good for sure. Outside the Cena Wyatt stuff. But yeah, I thought overall it was a great match, and it really showed how well 3MB can work. And I seriously hope this puts 3MB in a position where they'll be giving something to do on TV every week that's credible, because they deserve it. They were awesome. All right, let's go into fails. Joe, your fail of the week.
My fail of the week is that the WLC match was not on the main card. That would have, if you would have announced that as being part of the main card, that would have sold the pay-per-view. What?
Agreed.
No, I agree with you. It's funny to think that a WLC match would sell pay-per-views. I just want to throw that out there. I mean, I agree with you.
After watching it, do you not agree?
Oh no! I totally agree with you.
TNA should do a one-night-only WLC show.
I mean, it makes sense. Midgets in extreme wrestling. Those are like chocolate and peanut butter. Come on.
So
oh
why
my God!
doesn't
He hit him with an M&M. Oh my God!
He's got the Snickers. Anyway, God damn it, Joe. Just God damn it.
Kevin, your fail of the week.
My fail of the week is the Kane, Daniel Bryan, Brie segment on Raw. Okay, if they're trying to make a bad slasher flick, they're succeeding admirably. And I would actually get behind this if they were trying to make a bad slasher flick. Like if the car doesn't start. Oh, hold on, something was disconnected. Really? I mean, Kane pops up in the back seat. And Breeze goes into slap fest mode to try and get him away. I'm like, this is horrible. I mean, honestly, how can you? I mean, it looked like a bad slasher flick. But Friday the 13th Part 27 or whatever they're up to now. It was terrible.
Actually, for a proper slasher flick, Brie would have been naked, or at least topless, and that would have been perfect. Yeah.
Or
that
Braun
would have been perfect. I agree. But good Lord, that was bad.
Nick, your fail of the week.
My fail is the people that have been railing against the Divas division, how bad it is, how much of a bathroom break it is, and then not recognizing when the WWE finally puts in wrestlers that actually wrestle, like AJ, like Paige, like Emma. If you're gonna complain about how ridiculously horrible the Divas division is, at least recognize it when the WWE does something to correct that. At least give the Divas that deserve it the support that they need in order to get over, both with the audience and with the company itself.
Nick, real quick follow-up. I agree with you. I like that idea, but going back to the idea that was brought up in chat about how the fans won't care until WWE actually does. The only thing I can fall back on as far as that, and I forgot to say it before, is that they really only got a 5-minute match. It was quality for sure. It was one of the better 5-minute matches we've ever gotten from the Divas, but still 5 minutes. I think they deserved more.
Well, Daniel Bryan and Kane only got 10, and that was the main event.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think we can argue that the WWE doesn't care about women's wrestling anymore because, for one thing, they've got NXT. They actually put an accomplished women's wrestler in charge of training the Divas. That's Sarah Del Rey. Nobody can dispute how much of an amazing wrestler she is.
Sure.
So I think that the WWE is finally starting to care about the quality of its wrestlers, male or female. And yeah, sure, we're still going to get the valets and the eye candy that steps into the ring once in a while. We're finally getting something of a balance, and it's time that the audience started to recognize that, especially the ones that have been calling for the change for so long.
Agreed. Scott, your fail of the week.
Nick got it right out of my mouth. That's pretty much exactly what I was going to say. It almost seems like it's become like a trend to basically dog on something for a long time. I mean, TNA kind of falls into that same category, unfortunately. People dog on it, and they don't even give it a chance anymore. And I'm guilty of that because I don't have TV, but I'm going to give TNA an honest try soon, I swear. But Divas division, I mean, Paige is doing such a great job, and even Tamina put on a great match, and even if it was 5 minutes, it was 5 minutes of quality. And unfortunately, WWE fans just, it's become too second nature now to go, up, Divas, beer break, and that's stupid. Give them a chance. Stop barking. Give them a chance.
All right, some fails from the live chat. We've got the crowds on Sunday after Cena, Bray, and Monday in general. Brie's acting, the Adam Rose debut as far as the reaction to it. Hornswoggle not winning the WLC match, and no AJ Lee at Extreme Rules. And yeah. Oh, horrible WWE camera work as of late as well. So for me, my fail of the week definitely goes to Brie. When she speaks, she sounds incredibly sarcastic. when she screams in panic, bloody murder. She's screaming for her life. She sounds just as sarcastic. And that ruined it for me. There was no hope after she started screaming for me in that segment. So that was definitely my fail of the week. Final thoughts. Any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Are you truly surprised about Bree's acting? I truly.
I was just hoping for a little bit more emphasis on serious.
If you've watched any episode of Total Divas,
I have not, thankfully.
I have, unfortunately. It just goes to show Bellas can't act. They're eye candy and nothing more. So
you would think that Brian would have taught her how to display emotion along with how to wrestle.
He just recently learned the emotions aspect himself. I mean, it was about 2 years ago where he finally actually started showing some emotion himself. So he's still kind of developing a little bit of that.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a drama scene. She needs to emote, throw a couple pies around. I mean, come on, you get more into it.
Yeah.
On a serious note, if you haven't seen it yet, it's been all over the internet today. Check out the video that I'm pretty sure it's WWE produced, but there's a video about little boy Connor. He passed away a month ago from cancer. He was a Make-A-Wish kid, and it shows his interaction with various WWE superstars, notably Daniel Bryan. And it's about 5 minutes. It's very heartwarming. I'll admit my eyes watered a little bit throughout. Definitely go check it out.
Sorry.
Joe, what were you gonna say?
I said mine too. No, it was a moving piece.
I generally avoid anything that says you will cry your heart out when it comes to videos. I won't watch them. So I hear it's moving, but I'll leave that for everyone else.
It also gave a little bit of context to a moment after Daniel Bryan won at WrestleMania when he went out to go hug that kid. That was Connor. I only just now realized that.
Yeah. No, and it also emphasizes, how important the Make-A-Wish, that whole benefit is. It's not just a publicity thing for WWE. I mean, it is really making the last moments for a kid in need. It's adding something very important for their life. So. Okay, so that's all I got as well. So let's go ahead and close the show. First of all, Scott Viper, for those who may not have listened to the podcast before for whatever reason, but they do like you and want to hear more from you, how would they find you?
If you like me, I'm sorry. Let's start with that. If you do want to hear more from me, you can find me on Twitter at Scott Viper, VYPER. I also run my own gaming podcast called Late Night Steamer, which you can find at www.latenightsteamer.com.
Okay, cool. And that's the show. Go check out ftwpodcast.com for more information about us and how to get involved in the future. We love the chance to read and respond to your feedback. That's why we bring your questions onto the show. Yes, we in fact did bring askFTW back this show. So, we do love those questions. We love answering them. For even more WWE and TNA discussions, you can head on over to fanstalkwrestling.com. Nick and the rest of the team have been working hard to provide original content for you guys, which is always cool. For full show notes and all of the links that we talked about, all the YouTube videos and that sort of thing we talked about here tonight, it's going to be in the full show notes on ftwpodcast.com. So, we record every episode of FTW on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on ftwlive.com. For myself, Joe, Nick, Scott, Kevin, everyone who didn't make it, and everyone in the live chat, we'll see you next Tuesday. Laters.
Can't believe you guys never heard of Pit Fighter.
Let it go, man. Let it go.
I can't.
I'm not old enough for that.
No, I actually, after I saw that video, I was like, oh yeah, I do remember that game now. It was right next to the